In this video, I'm going to take you through the cryptocurrency exchange, eToro X. And this will be a beginner's guide, so I'll show you how to deposit your crypto, trade and withdraw from the platform. But first up, a little bit about eToro and eToro X. And for the latest information on eToro, please check out everybithelps.co.uk. So similar to the likes of Coinbase, which I've also covered, there are three different platforms from eToro, which are eToro, eToro X, and the eToro wallet. eToro is the trading platform, which is more aimed with the beginner in mind. You can buy and sell not just crypto, but stocks, ETFs, commodities, and currencies instantly. And you can also copy other traders. However, you will find that the fees will be higher here, and that's because you're going to be paying for a convenience. eToro also have their own wallet app too, for storing your crypto in a mobile app. Next is the eToro exchange, which as I said, we're going to be covering today. eToro X was launched in 2019 and is the crypto subsidiary of eToro, built almost as a bridge between the traditional financial sector and the crypto space. And they offer cryptocurrencies such as Ripple, Ethereum, Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin. Plus they also have a number of stablecoins, which are pegged to various world currencies and gold and silver, and they include the likes of GBPX, EURX, GoldX, etc. Now the exchange is aimed at slightly more experienced traders, as the exchange platform itself is more advanced. But if you're new, you'll find that once you get your head around things, there's a wider range of crypto assets and stablecoins with more competitive fees and trading options available to you. And I have a full tutorial available which covers how to buy Bitcoin, showing all three different platforms if you're interested in finding out more. But let's jump into it. And to get started, you'll need to have an eToro account. I'll pop my link in the summary below, and if you'd like to use it, I'd certainly appreciate it. And once you've completed the verification process in your eToro trading account, you'll be able to sign into the eToro X exchange by using your eToro username and password. So once you're signed up or logged in, you'll instantly be presented with the dashboard. However, before we start looking at this, we'll need some crypto to trade with. So let's head across to My Funds at the top of the screen. And this is where you'll see your balances and available assets. Now you will see that eToro X does allow deposits with US dollars. However, for those of you that are like me and aren't day traders, it might not work out for you, as the minimum deposit here is $10,000. So I'm going to be swiftly moving away from that option, and the same applies for withdrawals too, so just be aware of that before you start trading for US dollars, for example, and then get your funds stuck. For crypto assets, there's no minimum deposits required. And as you can see, there's a whole host of different types of stablecoins here, pegged to various different world currencies. There's also cryptos like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, and Stellar available. For the purposes of this tutorial, I'm going to be depositing some Bitcoin. And when I click on to deposit, it will then provide me with a QR code and a wallet address that I can send my funds across to. And I can send that across from the likes of a wallet or another exchange. Just make sure though that you are sending the correct type of crypto to this address. If for example you send across Ethereum to this Bitcoin address, you could potentially lose your funds. Now when I deposited my funds, which I did over the Christmas period for this tutorial, they didn't actually appear under my funds straight away. However, after a few long-winded discussions with eToro X support, my funds are now appearing. And this can be really frustrating and worrying, especially when you're new to crypto or investing in general. But if you do have any issues, you can contact eToro through their customer support on their site. However, there is a 7-day response time. I'd also recommend contacting them via Twitter, where they're slightly more responsive, but they just can't answer all the questions that you may have. But once you've sent your funds across to eToro X and they're available, you can now go ahead to the dashboard to start trading. So let's take a look at the screen first. So first of all, we have our instruments, which essentially are trading pairs. So if I check out the pairs for BTC, I've got a few options here. Then over on the right, it will show me the market that I've selected, the last price, 24-hour change, high and low, as well as the volume. There's a market view here showing you different pairings, and you can change that to candle charts and view that over various periods of time. Plus, there's also market depth in here too. Then in the bottom left is our order book with buys in green and sells in red. We have any open orders here, cancelled in here too, which we're going to discuss in a moment, trades and funds. Then finally, a trade history in the far right-hand side of the screen. Now if you want to place a trade, you can simply highlight the instrument and then click onto Place Order. And there's a couple of different order types to select from the list here, which are either limit orders or market orders. And the fees that you're going to be paying here will depend on the type of order that you choose from this list. So let's take a look at those now. So eToro fees are all based on your monthly volume and a maker-taker model. Now, as I said earlier, I'm not a day trader. I actually buy my crypto and I hold it for the long term. So I'm going to be seen as Tier 1, which is under $100,000. And in this case, if I'm a maker, I'll be paying 0.10% for my trade. And if I'm a taker, I'll be paying 0.24%. You'll come across maker and taker fees a lot in exchanges. So in case you're not aware of what these are, I'll quickly explain them. So if I place an order at the current market value and is therefore completed immediately, I'm deemed as a taker of the market, as essentially I'm taking the current market price. However, if I become a maker of the market and I define a new price that is not immediately matched by an order on the order book, I pay less fees at 0.10%. So a taker is a market order, and a maker is a limit order. With a market order, you simply put in the amount of Bitcoin that you want to buy or sell, and then you can place your order. This will then fill immediately, and you'll see your new crypto or stablecoin appearing under your balance, which you can then do with what you like. However, I personally recommend withdrawing it, which I'm going to show you in a moment. However, what if you're not in a rush, and the market is a little too high or too low, and you'd rather wait for the market to reach a price and hopefully you get a better deal? Well, in this way, you can create something called a limit order. You enter the price that you'd like to buy or sell at, and then you need to enter in the quantity that you'd like to buy or sell. Then once I place my order, I'll just need to wait for the market to reach that price. And I'm going to be paying at that reduced rate of 0.10%. Now, the good thing about this is that if I've made a mistake or if the market moves dramatically in the wrong direction, I can always go ahead and cancel my order if it's still open, and then I can go ahead and retry. And the exact same process will apply if, for example, you're buying Bitcoin instead, and you want to buy it at the lower rate than the current market value. Now, as with many exchanges, you won't have access to your private keys with eToro X, and they state that they store some funds in cold storage and hot wallets. However, I'd recommend storing your crypto in a wallet where you have access to your private keys when you're not actually trading. So let's take a look at how to withdraw from the platform. And just one thing to note here is that in order to withdraw, you first must complete the verification process in your eToro trading account. You need to have withdrawal and deposit 2FA enabled in your eToro X account. Plus, you also need to add the destination withdrawal address to your eToro X account. So let's start with that. So for us to add the withdrawal address, what we need to do is head across to our settings and go to security. Then head to the whitelist addresses, and this is where you can add approved addresses to withdraw your funds to. So let's manage and add our method. And from here you can select the currency from the drop-down. You can also give the wallet address a name. Then you'll need to paste your receive address into the address section. And again, you're going to want to double check that the details are correct, as transactions sent to the wrong address may not be recoverable. And once that's all done, you can click on to continue. You'll then receive a confirmation link to your registered email address, where you're going to need to confirm the address. And once that's all done, your withdrawal method will then be added into your account. So to withdraw, head across to My Funds. Click onto the asset that you'd like to withdraw. And you can now withdraw to that address. Now, the fees here that you're going to be paying are based on the asset that you're withdrawing. But as you can see here, Bitcoin is at 0.0006 BTC, which is actually about $13 at the time of this recording, which is pretty high. However, stablecoins are at a few dollars. And there are some withdrawal limits in here too. And they state that withdrawals can take up to 48 business hours. And you can also check the status of your withdrawal under Reports, and then click onto the Withdraw section. So that completes my walkthrough of the eToro X exchange. And I hope that you enjoyed this video today. And if you did, then please give me a like, hit the subscribe button, and please do head over to my website at everybithelps.co.uk for more tips, reviews, and step-by-step guides. Thanks, and I'll see you soon.